Hey guys, welcome to the Nick Bahe YouTube page. You know what you need to do. You need to subscribe, you need to ring the bell, you need to like the page, you need to leave a comment. I appreciate you. Here we are. I'm here. You're here. You're Bo. I'm Nick. It's the game recap pod. Nebraska loses 20-17. We got to give our shouts out to Onyx Automotive. Before you even you take a second, okay? You drink some of your tea, and I'm going to tell you about the best of Omaha #1 luxury car dealer. That's Onyx Automotive. Shouts out to Onyx. They're sponsoring the game recap pods. They offer industry-leading brands like BMW, Jaguar, Land Rover. Great location, 150th and Dodge. Go check them out if you're trying to live that life. Onyx can help you live that luxurious life. Go to onyxautomotive.com. Drive Onyx, the new standard, and the pod is brought to you by Shoot 360 Lincoln, world's most advanced basketball training facility. I got a polo on, you know what I'm saying? It's a national franchise that is taking the basketball training world by storm. We specialize in shooting, ball handling, passing, third, fourth grade rookies, all the way up to college level pros. Become a member. Go to shoot360.com/Lincoln. You can sign up for your free 1-hour workout. It will unlock your game. All right, Bo Ruud. So you and I kind of broke our unspoken rules. We somewhat we threw little breadcrumbs out to each other before we turned on the mics of how today landed for you. Nebraska falls to Michigan State. Do you want to, you said you were not overly, how did you phrase it? You didn't get overly emotional or what was, yes. I can't remember how you phrased it.
Yes.
Now.
I mean, part of that was I was juggling kids and I had the game taped
Right.
and I was started a little behind, but we're taping day of, this is 3 hours.
Good call.
It's
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock on game
Saturday.
Day. So I would say that we lost. I never liked to lose. I never like when the Huskers lose, but I don't think this was their worst performance. This wasn't Michigan. This wasn't Minnesota. It was just sort of a game to me, which, unfortunate, but also not the end of the world, I guess. Yeah. So I don't know if it's because we've hit the 3 wins in a row and the 5 wins. I felt like it gave us a little cushion for a loss or something, right. But definitely wasn't a great performance, but wasn't our worst either. So I guess I was just a little bit there. I don't know.
Well, you know what it is for me. This is how that game landed for me. I'm really not surprised by that game at all. I didn't even feel like, in all reality, if we're being honest, I don't feel like they being Nebraska, all that much different than they had been playing. Sans a few big plays in the passing game given up. The defense slipped a little bit, but I don't know. To me, I'm like, that's the same team I've been watching for.
I guess that's a great point. That might be a better way to phrase it. So that's why I'm not it's not even like, can you believe that Nebraska, can you believe? It's like, yeah, I've watched it for 6 straight games here. Sloppy turnovers, bad offense, shaky special teams at times. What was funny, though, is really the defense wasn't they just had a bad game. No, it was really I would say their secondary gave up a few big plays. It was the secondary's worst game.
Yes.
Really, the rest of the team on the defensive side, fine. They did fine. They did what they've been doing.
Mm-hmm.
Tommy Hill, I think he got beat twice.
He had a rough game.
2 or 3 times he got beat. The one time, I don't know if you saw on the halfback pass or the pass.
Yeah.
He was in thirds coverage and we had a guy on leverage and he still came up and he left his guy.
Right.
That was just Tommy just making a mistake. Got beat on that one touchdown in the red zone.
Newsom got beat on the double move.
Got beat, which was a not terrible coverage. The guy maybe pushed off.
Yeah.
And was maybe not a catch too. But really and then there was some miscommunication on that first drive.
Yeah.
Of Michigan State's two plays in a row where we weren't passing off who's guarding who. We let guys run wide open down the field. That was the game to me for our defense.
Yes.
The secondary had their first letdown moment.
Yes. I mean, if you look at it with the defense, so, and I think Rule made the point after the game, every one of their scoring drives had a big chunk play through the air. Yeah. I mean, the Michigan State had, this is their they had a 46-yard gain on a pass, 42-yard pass play, a 28-yard pass play, and a 17-yard pass play.
Yeah.
Like, that's the game right there.
That's
like
it.
they hit some big plays through the air. Some of it actually was like the Quentin Newsom one. Like, Nebraska also finally ran into a quarterback that kind of could like make a throw, and a wide receivers that could kind of like make a catch.
Yeah, they were okay. They weren't even that good.
No,
they were a very, very average offense. How many rushing yards they have?
60 some. I can do like.
I mean, so right on track.
61.
Right on track in terms of our defense against the run. But
63.
We had just a couple of, I would call, mental errors, and a couple where, like I said, Tommy was like just that would be a mental error too.
Well,
like in his technique, one was technique. He was just spinning himself like bad technique.
See, I've like
bad technique. He was just not locked in.
I've never gone to corner camp or anything, but
You've gone to corner camp. No, you go to wide receiver.
Wide receiver camp. Oh man, I mean, Peter Warwick. Like, if Peter Warwick to this day held a camp, I'd be like, I'd like to sign up for Peter Warwick camp. Like, sir, you're 39 years old. Like,
there's two. I mean, maybe the most influential guy. There's two guys that like stick out in my mind. Like Peter Warwick for football, Lawrence Moten for basketball. High socks. Nick
Lawrence
Bahe.
Moten was woo. Lawrence Poetry and Moten.
Oh,
yeah, no, I was very, very heavily influenced. But like Tommy Hill, I mean, what technique is the one touchdown I gave up where he spun? He spun to the sideline.
Your guy releases inside and you spin outside.
Yeah, like what?
That's the difference between a touchdown, not a touchdown.
Yeah,
if you don't spin outside, you can recover. And so he got beat I think 3 different times.
He had a rough one.
That's a rough one. That's Tommy's rough. He had his best game last week.
Yes.
Worst game this week.
But here's the thing, though, real quick. I was going to say this last pod, and I felt like I emptied my whole chamber of like negative comments.
Yeah.
And I had 2 more bullets, but I was like, let's just keep them in. Like, but Rule brought it up against Purdue. They got beat, like Gifford got beat on the same seam route on the first drive that Gifford got beat. He got beat against Purdue, but they were throwing into the wind, and that quarterback had a bad day, so he was able to recover and break it up. Same thing even with one of Tommy Hill's first interceptions. They got past Nebraska's secondary, but the quarterback and the wind conditions, they didn't get burnt by it. Today, they got burnt by it. So I guess that's where, if you had to sum up like where my emotion is at, is like, we all kind of knew that this defense like was basically had to be perfect.
Yeah. And they've been playing
and they've been
well.
Almost like perfect. Like, if this was Star Search, they'd have been like,
4
and the
stars.
challenge 4 stars, like, I mean, they were getting 4 stars, perfect scores, and winning Star Search.
They won Star Search every week. It's just not, shouldn't be.
They won Star Search every single week. And you knew if they got a 3 3/4 stars, they were going to lose. And today, unfortunately, they didn't have a perfect game.
Yeah.
Like, it was one of those games where it's like Madison Bumgardner a couple years ago in the World Series, where it was like, what do you need out of your starting pitching? Like, need a shutout. Like, that's basically, and that's why I started with the analogy last week of like the baby and the parent and stuff. Like, it was the first time that the parent was hungover, fell asleep on the couch, and
just like, they're usually on it. It's usually like, hey, guess what? Nap time is at noon, and we don't miss it. But like, they got busy, and we missed the nap window.
Right.
Okay, we'll make up. You didn't
give them the bottle when they. Oh my God. Okay, and what time they put them down? Like, we didn't get the nap time until 1:30. That was today for the defense. And
then it's like, we gave them a little bit of sugar before bed. Oh, why did we do that?
What were you doing? You gave them candy.
Parental mental error.
Yes, but that's what it was. So like, we all kind of knew that this defense was basically going to have to, if they weren't perfect.
Yeah,
this was going to be trouble. Like, I guess,
and I'd argue the secondary has been playing just lights out all year, and so this was their letdown game. And I think I'm not so upset because they've earned it with me. Like, it's like it's sort of like in life, like you get credits and debits. Like when you're doing good, you're in the black, and you've earned the right to make a mistake with your friends and families. The secondaries earned the right to sort of blow this game for us, because I'm like, you've earned it. So that's why I'm not so upset.
I guess, it's like,
I just was like, they've done so well that they've like earned the right to have their not so good game. And I'm not going to just like,
I'm not
eat their
either.
lunch.
Right,
I'm not going to eat their lunch today because they've been good enough.
Yes. I mean, for me, there was a version of how the Illinois game, Northwestern game, and Purdue game played out that looked like this game.
That's what I mean. Yeah. Our offense has been our offense. I would say our offense was borderline cleaner than normal.
Isn't that bizarre? I thought the same thing. I thought there were less, even though they finished with 3 turnovers, right? It should have been 4.
But that's Heine. That was all
Heine today.
That was a Heine turnover day.
Yes.
But like we had less bad penalties.
They had 0 penalties.
We seem to be functioning better on offense. Like the offense functioned better. Like we didn't have as many wasted plays. We didn't have as many sort of like stub your toe penalties. It was basically a better functioning offense, and our quarterback, our man Heine, is staring down receivers and throwing the ball down the field to I don't know who. I don't know what he's seen.
Or some of it's like his last pick to Canton, Ohio. It was like, I don't know if did he think Victor Wembanyama was running down this lane? I mean, I don't know what. I mean, it was high
over the middle,
8 yards behind him.
Throws it, Nick. Every time he throws down the middle, I just think he doesn't see anybody but the guy he wants to throw to.
Right.
And sometimes he catches it, and sometimes it goes right to the defense.
Even the interception, the 2 interceptions he threw, one that got called back.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy, he didn't see the guy in the end zone.
Safety, he's not seeing those.
He doesn't see that guy. So I guess I say all that to say, like, why I'm like, I don't, to me, this kind of felt like an inevitability. Like at some point that all this stuff was going to catch up to him. And that's why this isn't meant to be turn on the mic and be, I told you so podcasters. I'm not trying to be like that, but it was interesting looking at whether my some of the YouTube stuff or some of the tweets. There was a lot of like, God, you guys are negative. Oh man, this is a downer. And I'm just like, for me, I was just trying to be honest on what I was seeing. And I still go back to the line of like, never look past something in victory that you wouldn't in defeat. All the shit.
Yeah.
That it was all the same greatest hits of all the mistakes they were making over the course of this winning streak. And they just it just caught up to them today.
Yeah. So I actually think if last week's pod, it seemed a little too negative for a win, I actually think this pod might seem a little too positive for a loss because I think there's not a lot different. And I think that's what you're trying to say.
Yes,
it feels pretty much the same other than a couple of plays by our DBs. And this, like it was a little bit better on offense in some ways, but like the difference was we lost and not a lot was different in our game and the way we play.
I'd be like, man, what'd you learn about Nebraska today? I'd be like, nothing. This is the exact same. They are exactly who I thought they are.
Much either.
I didn't learn much today. I know that sounds like I don't know. I mean, I know it's easy to get excited and you should. Like, I mean, Rule had a comment afterwards that like that it was after the Purdue game where he's like, man, we've gone from complaining about close loss, went from talking about close losses to complaining about ugly wins. And it's like, touche, like right. you Rule, you got it, dog. Checkmate. Like I just got like looky, I got hookied Rufio style, is that not inappropriate? So far, we have a Star Search reference. It's all
It is all 1991, folks. Welcome to the time traveling podcast. What's current? We don't know anything.
We don't know.
The baby. I don't know who the baby is.
Give you like a villain in like the Spider-Man movie, and the Spider-Man got him. I don't got that.
I have no time to watch those.
I don't have that. I don't got any of that stuff in me. But Rufio.
I did watch Wall Street last night, so I go in farther back than you. I watched Wall Street. I did. Gordon Gekko. Greed is good.
You did. See if
Greed
you can work.
Is good.
See if you can work in that.
I'm gonna
we just like
Wall Street references all day.
There's a new rule for the rest of the pod. If we have to make an analogy, it cannot be late. It has to be pre-2000 at least.
Fair. That's
okay. Deal.
We know our audience.
I mean, come on. That's what we're doing. But I mean, but no, but Rule looky, I got hookied me with his whole, like, we went from, hey, close losses to complaining about ugly wins. Like, dude, I got like, and that's why we tried to like last week. preface everything like, man, this is great. They've won 3 in a row, all those sorts of things. But like the team still is what they are, what they are.
Yeah.
And if I don't know, Nebraska's been sloppy. They've been inept on offense. There's been crazy amounts of turnovers. They've just found a way to get away with it over the course of this winning streak, thanks to the defense and also some bad quarterbacking from Northwestern, Purdue, and Illinois. And so I don't know, like I guess from a broad perspective, I think we're on the same page where I'm like, Nebraska was exactly who they've been to me.
Yeah.
And it finally just caught up to them.
What's too bad is that they had a big opportunity in front of them. We had won 3 in a row. This gives us 4 in a row and seals the bowl game.
Yes.
Which I think is in reality is still now I think we're kind of probably out of the Big Ten West, which is probably right. I mean, we're not, I don't feel like we're that level right now, but we got to get to that bowl game. We got to get to a bowl game. Yes. I think that needs to be the emphasis, right? Like, obviously, like we just want to get better. But I think we talked about this a little bit in the last pod, but I think it's important to think through this. It's been 6 years of no bowl games, which is, I would love to see how many practices that would have actually been. Like, let's say roughly you play January 1st as the rough average, right? You get 15 practices.
Yeah. So you're losing out
over
on
6 years. That's 60, and then 5 times 6 is that 90 practices.
I thought it was when I was working
90 football practices.
90 football practices, and you lose out on the momentum potentially gained from a win, the notoriety, all those you're missing out on all of that.
I mean, but think about how many practices in a spring ball?
Yeah, what is it?
20?
Yeah.
So if that, I don't know.
I think it's 15.
15. So it's basically you get 6 extra spring balls,
right,
to get your younger guys better.
Totally.
I wonder how much of a difference that has made, because the young guys get a lot of play.
Yeah, that's an interesting point.
I mean, Nick, Nebraska football has missed out on 90 practices potentially.
So like Iowa, Wisconsin, these other teams, like they've practiced 90 more times over the course of 6 years or so than Nebraska has.
That seems like unbelievable when you start thinking about it.
So we can't lose sight of that while we're sitting here trying to be like, I totally told you it was going to happen. We're like that guy, like I told you. And I hate that guy. And I'm not trying to be like that, but I'm trying to give you perspective on at least how I'm feeling about today. But even with that perspective, we can't lose sight on, like, it was a every game. I mean, they need to win one more game. They got to win one more game. Yeah. Everybody got a little ahead of themselves and we're like, okay, well, man, Big Ten West, like, to me, like that's like, that'd be great. But like you got to win one more football game. That's where it's for. And this was the most winnable game left on your schedule.
Maryland's tougher. I mean, yeah,
Maryland's more dynamic on offense.
Yeah.
And some of Michigan State's decisions at the end of the game were like, I
was yelling at that coach. He threw the ball. What have we been talking about? Like, I was yelling at him. I go, what are you doing?
What?
He took that shot at the end of the game. I go, what are you doing? He gave us the ball back twice just by being like, I mean, that drives me crazy.
He threw the play action on first down.
Yeah.
And it was like, what? And then he threw a fade on what was second down on the last drive. Yeah. That was like, man, there was a world where that thing was floated up and picked and it was, and then I don't even know what I thought of the 44-yard field goal. Like, I get it, I guess, but like, I don't know. I just felt like,
I mean, that guy was giving us every chance to win that game.
Yes. So, I mean, that was, but the point remains the same of that. There was a big opportunity missed today. Correct. So even there are multiple levels of like talking about this thing, like the game on just the game in a vacuum, the team, and what we see of them. I look at this game and I'm like, guys, it finally caught up to them. Like, they were juggling knives, and then finally it was like, and you're like, well, you're juggling knives. Okay.
Exactly.
Like that's what eventually you're going to cut your hand.
Here's a question for you. If we would have won, what would that have done to the season in the Husker fans' psyche? Does it change it that much? Like, would it have made that much of a difference? Or is this season sort of like, it is what it is, and people are just like, they are definitely getting more excited about Matt Rule and the future of Nebraska. I think that's a fact. But I also feel like there's still a reserve to all of the excitement. Like nobody.
And maybe the bowl. Maybe the bowl. It's an interesting question because, like,
are people going to be that excited about the bowl? Or is that just sort of like,
maybe the bowl represents a tangible accomplishment.
Yeah.
That I think people would be universally excited about. Now, not like through the roof excited about it, but I think a bowl would at least, I think most Husker fans, this is a smart fan base that knows they watched the greatest college football program operate at its highest level for 3 decades. So they know what good football looks like. And I think in their heart of hearts, they know, like, man, this team's flawed. So without I think the bowl would allow you to be like, okay, I know they're flawed, but they're it's
progress.
It's progress. Like they're in a bowl. So let's go.
Like they're smart enough to see progress. And I think that's what it would have done. It would have been like, we just won 4 in a row and we're going to a bowl, and okay, there's progress. We're allowed to uncheck ourselves just a little bit more.
Agree.
They are in check. They are checking their feelings and their emotions.
Yes.
You can hear it in everybody's voice. They're just like a little bit detached still because they've been beat to a pulp by Nebraska's
I totally agree. It's a very good point.
It is. So that I think it would have been the uncheck maybe, and now they're staying in check.
You can kind of let yourself go. It would allow Husker fans like a tangible reason to really be like, great.
Yeah.
Great.
It was funny. I was talking to Bub today about this at the gym, and he said,
Bub was our friend, by the way.
Yes, and he was mentioning that, like, because we're talking about are Husker fans, like, are they just, where are they at? Are they ever going to be? And he basically kind of like thought, like, if we win, they'll all come back. Even the ones that said they're not. Like,
I'd agree with that.
Don't you think that, like, if we actually start winning again, everybody's back? And I go, I think that's right.
I think it's right too.
I think it's right.
I think it's right. I think all the people that say, like, I'm done with this team.
Done with it. They're never going to be as emotional.
They're done until they start winning.
And then they start winning, and you're right back to where you were. I think it's ingrained in our DNA. It's ingrained in our state's culture. It's just too many years of it, too much family. Like, all we need is the last piece, which is win the football games.
Agree. So it missed opportunity. No question about it. This team needs to find a way to win one more game. But in terms of that game on a whole, like, I'm just there. I guess for me, if you watched that game and walked away like felt like, man, what was up with that? I guess I don't know what that was the same team I've been watching.
That's what I mean. Like, we won 3 games in a row playing pretty similar.
Yes. Okay. I will say this to go down I did feel like, I said last week that there was, like, whether it was the Alex Bullock muff punt that somehow 4 Purdue guys didn't get and Nebraska recovered, where there was like these little breaks. Today was the first day. I didn't think Nebraska got a good whistle. And I didn't think, like, you could have said, what'd you think of the touchdown catch that was reviewed and upheld? What'd you think of it?
The ball didn't look like it moved that much, but I mean, it was like it was on the ground. That ball was touching the ground. And I think the announcer basically said, we've seen these a lot. Usually when it looks like this, it always is.
That's my guy, Tim Brando. Yeah. That's where, for me, that where I landed on it was, I could see how by the letter of the way the rule is written, that is not a catch.
Yeah.
But if we're kind of sitting here, like, I also thought, like, did he catch it? Like, yeah, he caught it.
Same way with Heine's throw. His arm was going forward. There's a world where that's a pass.
Yeah.
But the guy looked like he caught his, bang, bang. That's a fumble.
Yeah.
Slow motion. That's a pass.
I think
I'm a do away with the replay type of human being. That's
you
what
are.
I am.
Yeah, you've been on that.
So, like, I don't get that pissed about the
when it goes both. Yeah.
Because I go,
you know what that touchdown was for me is, like, in the NBA and in college basketball where we're sitting there and we super slow mo and zoom in when like
hit the ball
it
down.
hits the ball. You hit the ball out of my hands.
And it touches my hands last.
But it's like, well, yeah, technically, if we zoom in and look, like, yeah, the last person to touch the ball was me. But, come on. Yeah. You just hit it out of my hands. Like, I think, yeah, did the ball technically hit the ground? But like almost all diving catches, a part of the ball is touching the ground.
It's just, that's why I'm convinced you want human error and you want to eliminate all replay and just let it play out. Like, let the refs make their mistakes, which they'll make equally over time. And just, you don't have to deal with relying on stopping the game so much. And then like, they still get it wrong when they do that.
Right.
So it's like,
because I thought when they were reviewing it, I was like, I think they're going to overturn this.
So you can still get it wrong even by reviewing it, or the camera angle's not good enough. So it's just like, let's not have any of it.
Yes. So most Husker fans thought that was a terrible call. I would have totally understood that if it got overturned. The fact that it didn't, I was like, I can see that how you could look at that and go.
Well, in the Heine's, and Heine's played, what really hurt was an incomplete pass. Like, you could have challenged, let's say they called incomplete and you want to challenge if it's a fumble. Well, at least it stops the clock. The problem with that is on the field is like the clock was running. So we had to run back and try to snap it versus being able to, like, when it's technically, it should have been incomplete. That was just a moment where we didn't get the clock stop, and we couldn't challenge it because we didn't have a timeout. So it was a very unfortunate set of circumstances. We couldn't get the right.
Yeah, you didn't have. What would have been the right
call?
Yeah.
I think they would have overturned that. Actually.
Right. So, but I also thought the other ones. I mean, it was a blatant pass interference on Malachi Coleman that was a no call.
Yeah.
Like, what? I mean, rule that was, and then the very next play, Haarberg tried to throw it to Victor Wembanyama.
Yeah,
and it was picked off. So. Spider 2 wide banana hit Wembanyama up the seam, hit Wemby. But so that was like, what the hell was that? I mean, Coleman
you know what the guy did though for Michigan State that was really smart? It was just blatant interference, and what he did though was at the very last second, he twisted and looked like he was trying to catch the ball. Was 15 yards away, but he was smart enough
to
jump and turn so that he was at least. Like, it looked like he was making a play on an imaginary ball.
It did kind of look like
smart.
That. Well, that's where
that was pass interference.
And Coleman needs to he needed to
throw a fit.
Coleman is like, when he catches touchdowns, he has no idea what just happened. Like, every play, Malachi Coleman is like in total shock. He's like, I just got pass interference. It's like, dude, like,
you know what's good? I'm sensing that this guy,
he's got a little something.
He drew about 3 penalties that game.
Yes, like people gotta you gotta hold
they're having to hold him, which is like, it's a good sign that he's our young talented receiver.
Yeah, I like it.
Like what I'm seeing out of him.
I agree. I thought so that was in terms of going down the like, man, they screwed us, man. Yeah. We're going down that path. Blatant pass interference should have been called. Haarberg had a face mask that was, I don't know how the ref didn't see it. I mean, it was in the open. Guy went by him, yanked. It was obvious that didn't get called. And then even on the last drive, I thought Coleman had a first down.
I did too, and that cost us so many. That cost us like 20
because then I think the next play might have been
a fumble. It was a bad spot.
So it was a bad. So Coleman had a first down. So there. I guess I say there were little moments today that didn't go Nebraska's way.
But you know what? It's also I think this. Our quarterback made some losing plays. When he threw the ball down the field, he did not those were not winning plays for us. And Haarberg and our offensive tackles were not. I think our offensive tackles, and especially like Noelle and Benhart, they were not clutch. Like this might sound strange. Offensive linemen need to be clutch too.
Yeah, there's plays where you got to hold up on this play.
When it's 2-minute drill, like we saw this a lot with Adrian Martinez, our line would collapse on those 2-minute drives.
Right.
They would collapse. When teams, we couldn't block anybody.
No.
And the same thing happened today with a little bit with Teddy P, with Benhart, and with Noelle. It was like, you watch those, like they were just like, we had no time. People were turning the corners on us. I mean, they get like those defensive linemen for Michigan State, they were pretty good. And they were giving our guys a lot of, like, I would say this game came down to, it was Nebraska being Nebraska. Our DBs did not play very well in a few plays. And their D line,
they got home.
They got home on our O line.
I agree.
When they needed to.
Because
that's
supposed to be Nebraska's.
And Heine just sort of like Heine turned the ball over 4 times, should have been 5.
Because if you look at it, Michigan State had 7 sacks and 12 tackle for loss, 12 TFLs.
Yeah, they were in our backfield.
They were the disruptors today.
Correct. They disrupted, and Heine, I think Heine made some good plays. He made those scrambles that were good.
Yeah. He had,
but sometimes I watch him, I'm like, some of his movement is where I'm like, he's a really good athlete, and then at times I'm like, but his movement's really weird and uncomfortable in a lot of situations.
I can't explain. He's a bizarre athlete. Like the 43-yard scramble run.
Whoa, what a specimen! What a specimen!
But then there was some, like that's just that was like
it's a thoroughbred.
Down the stretch they come and they let it loose.
Yeah, it's very unnatural.
But his ability one-on-one to like make anybody miss. And then today he all of a sudden started to slide a little bit, but like he sliding's not natural for him. So he's
moving in the pocket feels a little uncomfortable.
Yes.
Like I think some of those step up in the pocket, step up and scramble out. Those are some also things that it's not a huge like thing that I think most people would look at, but I go, he almost got sacked too many times. Like he should have got away from a couple of those. I think. I don't know. It's just the movement thing. I'm trying to figure out his movements. They're very unnatural to me. And I think, I don't know. So I struggle a little bit with that. I'm like,
some guys like Brady, Peyton Manning, even like, I'm not even naming mobile guys. They have like a slow guys
that are hard to hit in the pocket. Right.
Like they know how to step up and out and feel and move. And Haarberg's got no sense of that at all.
I don't know if you saw that one play we ran like it was in the second half. We ran like a shallow drag, and it was the first time like Heine just like he bailed on the pocket way too fast. And the one time his guy it was like he just didn't have that sense of like just a little longer, find your guy. Like
yes,
I think those are the.
I thought he got jittery. There were a couple times I'm like, I'm not sure. There were a few times where I was like, I'm not sure if that was a quarterback draw or Haarberg did a 2-step drop and then just started like.
Yeah, I think he also, like I said, he was under a lot of duress.
Yes.
And, I think like we've got a bigger sample size of Heine, and like I said, I think he plays to win, and I like what he's done for this team. He's done a lot for this team. He took a team that was in bad shape after the first 2 losses, and he won 5 of 6. Yeah. So I mean, I think he deserves a lot of credit,
no doubt,
for just being a competitor and laying it out there. But like, I think we also are looking at Heine for like, is he going to be the future of Nebraska?
Oh, I don't think so. I mean, I think it's clear.
So to you, that's where I'm like, I think it's getting more clear that. I don't know. There's just a few things missing that I haven't seen yet. I don't know if you can develop those things though, that I want to see, like the feel things. Like, I just don't know that I just don't know. He got some thoroughbred in him. Like he got when he's running or when it's like, he'll do the sidearm, like, he'll zip it, but like the feel, I'm looking for the feel with him.
And I don't
the vision, the feel and the vision. And 7 games has he played now?
Is that right?
6?
Yes.
He was
Northern Illinois, Louisiana Tech, Michigan.
This is his 7th game.
Yeah.
His 7th game as a starter.
Yeah. So it's a pretty big sample. The dude is what's funny is, everybody's like, can't play Sims. He was, and I'm certainly not trying to politic for Sims because I'm absolutely not, but it's just funny how like Rule preaches you can't turn the ball over, it just can't happen, blah blah blah, and everybody's like, can't play Sims, he turns it over, can't happen. It's like, well, Haarberg is turning it over at a really alarming rate.
Yeah. So the last 2 games, Heine has really let it slip.
Yeah,
and it's concerning. And I think what's hard is there are growing pains. If you see other things that you go, well, if we can just get past those to here, what I'm saying is the feel stuff.
Yeah, I totally agree.
I'm not seeing that in the arsenal, which makes me, I'm a little concerned.
Yes, because there's no doubt, like there are moments his arm talent at times is like, wow. His running at times is like, wow. But you're right. Like all the feel stuff, the reading, all that stuff
too.
The touch is
the reads. And when he runs and steps up in the pocket, and when he, like some of that stuff, I'm just like, it's
not natural.
It's almost like you see like a left-hander that has like a funky shot, it's like,
it doesn't
feels
look
like, I don't know.
Rule said he didn't consider changing quarterbacks. Did you?
I think right now you can't. I just don't.
I don't know what that looks
Jeff
like.
Sims has come in and he's turned the wrong way every other. I mean, it's like you can't go with Sims right now. How do you go with Sims? You can't go with Sims. You go with Heine. You go with Heine.
Well, I honestly think the people that were like, I think there was like a small little Chubba chatter.
Chubba chatter?
There was Chubba chatter.
There was Chubba chatter? What? Hold the phones. There was Chubba chatter.
There was Chubba chatter.
There was Chubba chatter.
I mean, if you keep your ears to the streets, there's a little bit of
Chubba chatter.
There's a little bit of. I actually think some people that were wanting a change wanted it to be Chubba. But it's also the whole, I mean, you're getting seduced with whoever the next in line is. I mean, again, we made the whole why phone sex works because you fill in that unknown void with the best case scenario. But need I remind people of what Chubba looked like last year?
I know what Chubba looked like. But you know what's, I don't know. That's funny. Like if you were to ask me right now, Chubba or Jeff Sims, I just think Sims has had such a monumentally bad start to his career here. I think it's in his head. I think Chubba actually would have a fresh start.
Yes. As much as we laugh at the Chubba chatter, I'm not so sure if Rule, I'm standing next to Rule on the sidelines and he goes, I'm going to make a change, Sims or Chubba. I'd go, well, I've heard there's some Chubba chatter.
There's been Chubba chatter and it's pretty positive for Chubba over Sims.
Well, have you been hearing the Chubba chatter? There's a lot of it. There's Sims silence and there's Chubba chatter going on right now. So I think it maybe would have gone with Chubba, but I don't know. I mean, I didn't really ever, I'll be honest with you. You got to keep it real with how you felt in the moment. I never really was like, is there going to be a change here? Is there going to be, I didn't really feel it.
I don't think you mess with it. I think Haarberg has won you these games, even though it's been ugly. He's shown he can win you games. He's won 5 games for you in 6 weeks. Well, now 7 weeks. He's got to get us one more. I think it's got to be Maryland. I think you got to seal the deal at Maryland, and then you got Wisconsin, Iowa, who are solid football programs, and they're always tough for us. So seal the deal with Maryland. That means it's basically RD versus Tua's brother. Sorry.
Yes.
What's his name? I always forget his name.
Tua's brother.
He's always Tua's brother.
I'd like to introduce to you Tua's brother. I don't know what. I don't know. Let's go with Tua's brother.
That's fine. That's terrible that we can't remember his name. He started for Maryland for this is his 3rd year starting.
Taula? How would you say it? Taula?
Talia?
I don't know. But either way, I mean, yeah, like I don't think, but to go back to Haarberg, I did not feel like, I mean, and again, not to come back to this, like he played kind of how he's been playing.
He was fine. Like he wasn't
like this is probably his worst game, but
yeah, because he did it. He had turnovers plus the game losing two game losing turnovers, losing the ball.
Yes,
like your job is.
I mean, even the one fumble, it hit his knee, and it was like I don't know. I mean, it was it. I mean, that thing ricocheted pretty far.
Yeah,
but
it's just too bad. Like we actually they gave us a chance. Our defense gave us a chance to get back.
That would have been one skanky win.
But that's how I thought. Like I was like, God, this might be how we're winning.
Oh my gosh, that would have been. We
had a chance for the tie. I mean, we were how many yards short in the last fumble? We had to get to the 40-ish, right? Because Alvano can kick 55 to 58 yards probably. Mm-hmm. So we needed to get to the 40, and we were on the other 40. So we just need like 15, 20 yards.
Yes.
And you could tell, like, I think you could see Rule saying, like, you got to get to, I think he was telling him, you've got to get here. Here's how much time. Like, he was talking to Haarberg through the whole thing, like, and then, sack fumble.
Yes.
But also, Nick, that's on those tackles. Like, you got to be clutch.
Yes.
You got to bring it as an offensive tackle and guard. Like, you got to give your guy a chance to throw on certain plays more than others. When the game's on the line, you can't get beat.
Yeah.
You can't give up sacks. When there's no timeouts and you can't give up that play, that's on the tackle.
Yeah, they're not to say, you can do the whole, like, every play matters, but there are certain plays, like, man, there were a couple, some of those trick plays, they held up.
Yeah.
Like the Michigan State line, or the people, like, you gave yourselves a chance at a chunk play, and yeah, they did not do that. But yeah, Haarberg, his line, by the way, was 12 of 28 for 129 yards and 2 interceptions. Yuck. He was 14 carries, 37 yards, and 1 touchdown. Keep in mind, 43 yards on a scramble. So he was really, like, his running was really,
yeah.
I don't know what, even like they didn't run a lot of option. The one option pass looked weird.
Well, yeah, he was like crouching.
He was like,
that's what I'm saying. Like, his feel for, like, and then we ran that option week, and he like
pitched it
when like nobody made him pitch it.
Yes.
And I'm just like, we can't run option if he can't press the line and make the guy that he's optioning make the decision.
Yes, it was the short side option. And you're right. I mean, I think he took one step
and turned and
pitched it.
He just doesn't have a feel for it. And but that's like, you shouldn't have him do these things he's not comfortable doing. And that's what I'm struggling with. I'm watching us run option, and I'm like, yeah. Even though we've had some success in the option pass, and a few of these options have been like hitters, but I'm like, every time we run it, I'm like, There was more
today. There was a lot more. The Jeff Sims kryptonite play of the motion man into a blocker.
Yeah, and it worked well.
There was more of that today. There was also more kind of like open, straight read stuff.
Yeah.
That probably doesn't play well in pods, but it play, you know what I'm talking about. There was more, the option was more out of the gun today, and it was more true. Like,
we were like, it seemed like we were almost exclusively gun today.
And then explain to me the I formation ISO, but the fullback goes one way and the tailback goes the other way. Did you see
like a split zone?
Is that, like that? That's, I feel like that they hadn't run that a lot, and they ran that a lot today.
Yeah, and they do the boots off of it, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, it was like, it was fine.
In general, I thought, Tom Chattel had in his quick blurb after the game that he felt like they should have committed to running the ball more. That, it's with Emmett Johnson and Anthony Grant.
Yeah.
I feel like those guys actually ran the ball okay today.
What was our stat line on from those guys?
So those guys, they didn't have, I mean, nobody offensively had a great day stat wise. So Emmett Johnson, 13 carries, 57 yards, 4.4 a tote. Anthony Grant, 9 carries, 35 yards, 3.9 a carry.
average.
Oh yeah. I mean, and then Fleeks, they wanted to get Fleeks on like the edge. Fleeks was like, where you want? He was like, the edge. Get me on the edge. So I don't know. I mean, not 13 carries, 9 carries, 22 carries for your running back. I don't know.
We're just not scary from anywhere. So I don't know. I mean, I think it comes back full circle to kind of has been what we've been.
Yes.
But
yes.
Yeah. We lost a game that was winnable. Just like we won some games that were losable.
Mm-hmm. And that's a way of like, that's, the whole even Steven life has a way of evening things out. Today was like,
that was a reality check for how we've been playing and what we probably deserved a few of those games. But like,
I'm just not, I think that's why I just, that was the same team I've watched for, except for the secondary slipped a little.
Yep. Secondary slipped, and the O-line needed to be clutch, and Heine needed to take care of the ball a little bit better.
Yeah.
That's the game.
A couple more things. There's one glaring thing we have to talk about that we have not yet. But before we do that, I want to tell you about Onyx Automotive. If you are looking to, just be a baller and live that luxurious lifestyle, you need to get out to Onyx Automotive because they are the best of Omaha, #1 luxury car dealer. They offer industry-leading brands, Land Rover, Jaguar, BMW. They got new and pre-owned vehicles, and they got an awesome location at 150th and Dodge. If you want to do some shopping and some research before you get to the lot, go to onyxautomotive.com. They have tons of great information there. You can peruse the vehicles, what they have in terms of inventory, and you are going to be treated like a king there because that's their whole thing. I mean, it's the best of Omaha, #1 luxury car dealer. In fact, every purchase you get a bottle of wine we've drank. It's fantastic. We still got to do a Range Rover Drover night. You know what? We have to do it.
We will
do sometime whether it's in the spring, whatever. Like we need a Range Rover Drover night. Okay, but we're going to need
Range Rover to the Drover.
Range Rover to the Drover. This is Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee. This is Nick and Bo in a Range Rover going to the Drover. Would people watch a series where it's just me and you in various Range Rovers going to the Drover?
Every week we get to eat a steak. I mean, sign me up, Nick. I would commit to that show.
I'm in on it. Go to onyxautomotive.com. Drive Onyx, the new standard. And this pod is brought to you by Pella Windows and Doors. We got a babysitter upstairs who are watching my two little guys, and she walked in and was like, "Wow, your house looks great." I'm like, "See? Even she knows what a beautiful house looks like." And the only thing that's different about it, new front door, new bay window, changes everything. And take it from me, someone that was with the Pella team from start to finish in the showroom in Omaha, all the way to Debbie with the in-home consultation, to the Pella experts with the install, watching them clean up, do their thing. It was just, couldn't be more impressive. So if you need a new window, new door, you need to go to Pella. They got showrooms in Lincoln and Omaha. You can get a free in-home consultation, get a Pella expert out, give you a great game plan for your wants, needs, and budget. And take it from me, someone that couldn't be more satisfied. Pella gets the job done. Go to PellaOmaha.com. That's PellaOmaha.com. Okay, before I get to a glaring thing, any other things with the offense that we're missing?
Get to the glare. Let's get to the glare.
Okay, the glaring thing. Help me understand the punt return situation. So let me just say this out loud and tell me if this is, so Nebraska had a punt returner return punts today that isn't cleared fully to do anything else on the field. Like he is healthy enough. Talking about Billy Kemp here. Yeah. He can't go play offense, but literally he is just a designated fair catcher.
My hunch is that's the case. My hunch is what that message sends to me is our lack of talent, and our lack of trust in anybody else.
Yes, think about that. We're going to travel an injured player
to catch punts,
and have punts.
No threat.
No threat for never. So, I would think from a punt coverage standpoint, I don't know if there probably isn't anything you're really going to be able to. I mean, you're not worried about having to cover the punt.
No, not really. It's just.
But here's the thing.
I never have understood that. You get 100 guys, and you can't find a guy to catch a punt and try to that can be a threat from back there. We've had years in Nebraska where this has been the problem. How do we not have one guy that can do that?
100 dudes back there.
Yeah.
There are multiple DBs, running backs, wide receivers. There's a lot of those dudes. The best option is a dude that he
can't play on the offense because he's too hurt.
That's Nebraska's punt returner. And I can understand how you're sitting there going man, what can happen is you don't catch them and they roll down like what's that one with Alex Bullock. Yeah. Okay. But what was also happening is Billy Kemp, I think, he consistently catches punts inside the 10.
So I wanted to ask you about that now that you're saying that. He caught maybe three at the 6-yard line.
Yes.
And I go, okay, it's not the 2, it's the 6. But
what are you doing?
But that's what's tough. Here's what's tough. It's a part of me understands catching it at the 9, 8 if you can. But it's also isn't there a world where those balls bounce and go in the end zone too? Like,
Yeah, like I think
what's the right move? I know some people say you put your feet in the 10, you never go forward.
Yeah, and it's
and
like
I go catch it at the 9, catch it at the 9, catch it like, but like we caught 3 on the 6, and I don't feel like they were necessarily like right up on us either. Like I felt like there was a chance that ball could have bounced and they weren't ready for it.
yeah, you never know. I mean, it's a football. Like, I mean, God knows where it's going to bounce. Like, you don't know.
So I don't know what the right play is on that.
Because Rule was saying their plan was they were going to try to go block a bunch of punts and just have Billy. But also, I would think I've never covered a punt. But if you know someone's not going to return the punt, I'd imagine you can position yourself. You don't have to worry. Like, you literally can go into like run and get ready to try to down the punt.
I mean,
you know what I'm saying?
When you're out there, you still like you're doing what you're taught to do. But like, I do think you just don't have to worry about much because you're just like, well, just make sure you don't give up a block.
Just imagine.
Don't give up a block. Because if you have to like, if you've got a guy you're worried about returning it, you are hustling to get down there versus like maybe you are protecting a little bit better.
Yeah, I don't. I'm just like, wow.
I don't know. I
mean, even they had Ethan Nation. I thought was who it was. Came in at the end
because they needed a return.
They needed a return, and he did catch it and like tried to do something. But like, wow, that's a pretty sober, bleak reality that an injury. Because I'm not gonna lie, when the first time Billy Kemp caught a punt, I was like, oh, who else is number? Like, I was like, who is that?
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, that's Billy Kemp. Yeah. I was like, wait, he can play?
I thought he was going to be out there like playing all day.
No.
And he didn't take a snap in offense.
I guess now we said it last week. Like, it was pretty clear. Like, once Bullock muffed the one punt, his interest in catching another punt was like the same interest that Laura Winslow had in Steve Urkel for a long time, or the same level of interest Lisa Turtle had in Screech for a long time.
He thought that football looked like his sister, and he didn't want to kiss it. You know, like he just didn't have any attraction to it.
No, he wanted nothing to do.
Catching a punt is like kissing your sister.
Because he was like, "Are you kidding me? I am hands up. I'm not." But that punt return situation. Jiminy Christmas. And then Buschini didn't have a very good day.
Yeah. Well, I would say he did have a good day, and then it kind of went the other way. I saw about 3 or 4 punts. I'm like, okay, he's turned the field over. This is good. And then it went like
he had a couple of shanks.
Then he started shanking it, and he started kicking it short. So he finished really not well.
I would love to see whatever the field position kind of number said. It just seemed like, especially in the second half, it was the Michigan State's field position compared to Nebraska's field position was dramatically different.
Yeah. And
a lot of that is Billy Kemp and Buschini, but
not affecting the game the way we should be able to.
It is so, for someone who, I'm telling you, I think one of my favorite things to watch is a good punt returner.
Yeah.
And it just hurts my soul. I mean, is the last J.D. Spielman returned a punt against South Alabama in 2019.
But it's DeMornay Pearsonell's our last good returner. DeJuan Gross before that.
So, I mean, you're going, but did Swifty house a couple?
Swifty had, I think, at least one. Swifty had one, but I think it's like, I mean, for those that can remember DeJuan Gross, it was like, every time he touched it, we were thinking house call.
Yes.
And I think he led the NCAA one year. And I mean, he just had a great career. I'd love to see how many total he had.
Yeah.
But he had, multiple a year.
And remember we did Husker Classic recaps 2001 Oklahoma. And one of our takes from that game was DeJuan Gross didn't fair catch anything, and he tried to go catch. He wasn't just going to try to catch everything. He was going to try to catch everything and return it for a touchdown.
And the best part about when you get to see that is the confidence that everybody in the stadium feels and everybody in their team feels. When you got a guy that thinks that way, mean, that's why I think you kind of like when Tommy's back there. He's like, Tommy's taking it out, but Tommy's not DeJuan Gross.
No,
right?
but at least I like
It
that
is a
thought. That school of thought. You know.
Yes, and that's what DeJuan Gross had times 10, but like it was because he was returning punts for touchdowns all the time, and our punt return unit was like rabid dogs just getting to block for this guy because they know all we got to do is our job, and this guy will do the rest.
Well, I remember Barrett telling me that. That was one of the first things he talked about was like, man, when you're on the punt team, the punt return team, and you know you got to do that.
Get a block.
Like he's like, I just feel like if I get my block, like he's gonna score.
That's how everybody thinks too. It like you think that little bit difference gets more guys on bodies, and you just get better because you got that. You got the advantage. You got that trump card. You got DeJuan that's going to make somebody miss, and they just have vision too. They have vision. It changes your team.
So I don't see any touchdowns there, but DeJuan Gross joined Johnny Rodgers, 72 Heisman Trophy winner Johnny Rodgers, as the only Nebraska player in history to amass 1,000 career punt return yards.
Think about that number too, right? 1,000 yards.
Think about that.
What is that like? What does that equate to in wins?
Yeah, like
right, like every 100 yards is like that's points, pretty much, right?
Yes.
So I mean, he gave you 60 points.
I mean,
you know, like
yes,
right. I mean,
right. I mean, it's
think about it, like that's
it's not
100
just
yards
cool.
is 6 points. He gave you 60 points.
Yeah.
Roughly.
Right, roughly. Yeah. If you just look at it, if you want to just oversimplify it, yeah.
And 60 points wins how many games? Well, Nebraska 2021, that wins you most of them.
Yes.
Because we lost all by less than 7. That probably wins you
I just
most
think it's
of your games, right?
I don't think people understand how much field position potential is left out there every game that Nebraska plays because they never return a punt.
They never do it.
They never do it. But just, I thought today, I get, like, I also, like, if we're hypothetically saying Rule's calling us over to pick our brain, if Rule's sitting there going, like, he calls into his office on Tuesday and goes, guys, okay, Alex Bullock, the dude, I mean, he is Laura Winslow and a punt is Steve Urkel. I'd be like, I said the same thing, Rule. That's crazy.
I said it just like that. You use 1990s analogies as well?
Wait, are you serious? I said it was also like he was Lisa Turtle and the punt was Screech. He was like even better. But if he said, guys, Alex Bullock does not want to catch a punt, okay? Yeah. What we cannot have happen is trot him back there and he just lets every punt roll. What do you guys think of just like, we're just going to try to block punts and we're going to suit up Billy. At least Billy will catch it.
I think it's fine, Nick. I actually think that's a fine plan. It just is sad that that's where we're at. We can't run.
What does it say about the
punt return team the way we should be able to as a elite program can. All the elite programs do. They run what they need to run to get the best field position. We can't do that. We have to change our tactic to block punts and fair catch because we're not good enough. That's where we're at. So, I mean,
what does
that's
it
where
say?
It's like, maybe the right call, but it's sad to say that's where we're at.
Tell you what, the backup punt returners right now, I mean, if you're Alex Bullock or Ethan Nation or whoever these other punt returners are, it's like, wow, they have elected to trot out a guy that isn't healthy enough to actually play offense, and he's never going to return it over you.
That's not good.
Oh, not good. I mean, it hurts my heart. It really, really hurts my heart. Anything, I mean, that's about all I got. I mean, we're about an hour in. I mean, missed opportunity, no question about it. Not terribly surprised because to me, this was the same team that I've been watching. Figured at some point all this stuff was going to catch up to them. It did. You figured the second the defense literally isn't, beyond flawless. Like that's what it's like. Yeah. Today, the defense just slipped a little and they lost the game.
Yeah, I think we didn't learn much, but
yeah. So, yeah, not big. I mean, it's almost like now And Rule even said, he's like, I think we're figuring out now what it's like to play a game with that's got a little consequences to it now, with like that you're playing for something.
Yeah.
It's kind of like each, if you have a 3-1 lead in the NBA playoffs, you lose game 5. It's like, okay. But all of a sudden you lose. Yeah. Like each game that you lose, you're like,
basically, here's what I'd say is the pressure has been turned up a little bit this weekend, Maryland.
Yeah.
Because we win against Michigan State. Maryland's a breeze because it's like,
I think the rest of the season's a little bit like,
it doesn't even matter. So I think they've put a little bit of pressure on themselves. If they lose to Maryland, like you said, it's like the pressure cranks up because Iowa, Wisconsin are way harder games, as we know. And you don't want the scenario. They need to win the next game.
You do not want to be heading to Madison, Wisconsin still with 5 wins. Yeah. You do not. Nope. You have no interest. You're about as interested in that as Bullock is in catching a punt.
That football.
Kissing looks like his football sister. Okay. All right. Well, there we go. I mean, so huge game now. By the way, it's on Peacock.
What?
Yeah. I figured you were going to be really. I'm a little. Now, because I'm calling a crazy game. It's you say what? Peacock? Quack, quack. Are you hearing this? Quack, 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 quack. But it's on. I'm doing a Creighton game on TV.
Oh,
so I'm hoping that Peacock stores the game, like you can go back and it's like you click on Nebraska, Maryland, and it's like,
Oh.
Otherwise,
I better get a hold of Peacock.
Yeah, I mean, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Are you gonna get Peacock?
I'll find a way. I'll figure it out.
I mean, does Peacock really crack down on sharing passwords? I mean, everybody's got I feel like everybody's Netflix accounts.
Bill, this is Cliff over in customer service. We've had an uptick in Nebraska for passwords.
We got a major password sharing situation. I don't know what's going
on, but there's something happening here in Nebraska.
There's somebody out there who has a Peacock subscription that their friends have been ignoring him, and he's like, well, look who wants to hang out on a Saturday now, because I got Peacock. Like, dude, you got to call Peacock Pete. Pete's got Peacock.
Dude's got a lot of Peacock.
He's got Peacock. So it's on Peacock next week. I don't know how we're going to do that. But it's got, I have to imagine Peacock stores. Almost every streaming service does. I will say this, kind of anti-streaming.
Yeah.
I'm a cable guy. I don't know. Streaming, I don't know. Everybody's like, dude, it's great. I'm like, nah, it's great. It's cable.
I'm being talked into that I need to change to YouTube TV when I go to my new house.
We got YouTube TV at Shoot 360.
Good.
It's not, our GM and assistant GM, they run it, there are moments where I'm like, my brother and I were the little guys like, what is this?
Holy cow.
I
remember when there was 3 channels, NBC, AT&T.
Growing up, MTV was channel 28. VH1 was 29.
I do remember that.
20. What was BET, so you could
40.
watch 40. You knew that. Your boy was watching Rap City The Basement.
You watched a lot of that channel 40.
Your boy was on BET watching
Nick, it. Before we leave, I got one more channel for you. 79.